Ja'Marr Chase is the third wide receiver off the board. What is his potential in year 2? Let's talk to Jacob Gibbs right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. All right, Jacob Gibbs. I am very excited about Ja'Marr Chase. I am tempted to make him my number 1 wide receiver. I'm not going to do it in PPR for sure, but what can you tell us about Ja'Marr Chase? Give us the starting points here.
Yeah, it's hard not to be excited after what we saw from Ja'Marr as a rookie. So just the first thing is over the past 10 seasons, we've had 9 rookie wide receivers top 1,000 yards. Of that group, 7 of the 9 have increased their yardage output in year 2, and the group averaged a 6% increase from year 1 to year 2. So these are the best performing rookie receivers, and they're still like increasing that the next year. It's not been very often that it's been a fluke for a receiver to really pop off in the way that Ja'Marr did. And only 3 of these rookies, Justin Jefferson, Odell Beckham, and Michael Thomas, topped 1,100 yards. So really, it's hard to find comparables for Ja'Marr because he had freaking 1,400 yards as a rookie. And really, Justin Jefferson and Odell Beckham are the only ones even close to that. But the 3 I just mentioned increased their yardage output by 13% from year 1 to year 2. So a 6 to 13% increase from Ja'Marr would put him in the 1,542 to 1,644 yard range.
Okay.
Which would obviously be excellent. Only 2 22-year-old receivers have ever hit that, Josh Gordon and Justin Jefferson, over the past 20 seasons. So I don't know if it's fair to extrapolate it like that, but like that's the type of, if we're just looking at just a normal increase from other receivers who have been as exceptional as Ja'Marr was as a rookie, that's what we're looking at. And if you add that type of an increase, we're really looking at, possibly leading the league in receiving as a second-year player.
Yeah, I think for the reason why I won't make him number 1 in full PPR is he's going to be such a high yards per catch guy. I think that he probably won't have the catches that a Cooper Kupp would have or something like that. A little bit like, Tyreek Hill, better in a half PPR setting than a full PPR. But anyway, there is probably some regression coming in some way, right? I mean, I think he had 5 touchdown catches of more than 50 yards last year.
Right.
So what kind of regression can we see, and how much would it hurt him?
I'm glad you brought up Tyreek Hill because he's really the only guy who Ja'Marr could follow a similar trajectory, and it makes sense. Really, there's no one else like Tyreek Hill who's been able to score long touchdowns consistently. So no player has had as many touchdowns of 30-plus yards over the past 20 seasons as Ja'Marr did in 2021. As a rookie, he had more 30-plus yard touchdowns than any player over the past 20 years. 62% of his 30-plus yard catches resulted in a touchdown. The NFL average is 27%. And then really the only 2 players that even come close to him in terms of multiple seasons with, the numbers that he did of 30-plus, 40-plus, 50-plus yard touchdowns are Jordy Nelson and Tyreek Hill. So Nelson has seasons with 6 and 7 touchdowns of 40-plus yards, but he never had another one with more than 2. And he had a pretty substantial career. So that just goes to show how unlikely it is to ever repeat the type of things that we saw from Ja'Marr, who had 6 40-plus yard touchdowns as a rookie. And then, Hill really is the only one who's done it consistently. He had 0 40-plus yard scores as a rookie, and then he went 6, 4, 4, and 5 over the next 4 seasons. And then last year he only had 2. So, if Ja'Marr isn't able to keep scoring long touchdowns at the same rate, that is a little bit concerning because he was out-targeted by Tee Higgins in the red zone. And he was only targeted on 20% of his routes in the red zone. That wasn't somewhere he was used heavily. So he needs the touchdowns to come on these long plays. And really Tyreek is the only person who's ever been able to do it at such a high rate consistently.
Randy Moss as a rookie actually had 5 touchdown catches of 50-plus yards, same as Ja'Marr Chase. And he followed it up with 4 more in his second year. But I think if you look at Randy Moss, there was some regression. He went from 17 touchdowns to 11 touchdowns. From 1998 as a rookie to 1999, but he had 100 more yards. He had 11 more catches. He had 13 more targets. So you can make, even if you lose the touchdowns, hopefully he can make up for it in other ways. And finally, his splits with Tee Higgins on the field. You did mention the red zone aspect of it, but what else can you tell us about when Chase and Higgins were on the field together?
Yeah, so Higgins out-targeted Chase 108 to 93. He had 1,300 air yards to Chase's 1,200, and Higgins straight up outscored him in PPR formats when both players were on the field, which is a pretty large sample size, 469 routes. Chase's target per route run rate fell from 32% with Higgins off the field to 20% with Higgins on the field, which is a pretty, substantial drop. His yard per route run rate was down from 3.5 to 2.3. And then another way to look at it, Chase ran 579 routes on the year. If you extrapolate his rates from the 469 routes with Tee Higgins also on the field, he would have scored 258 PPR points rather than 305, which would have ranked him as the wide receiver 8, just behind Deontay Johnson and just ahead of Keenan Allen. So this isn't, to say that, Tee Higgins is clearly the wide receiver 1 or the Jamar Chase is not as good as Tee Higgins or anything like that. But Tee Higgins definitely did impact Jamar when he was on the field. And if he is healthy for a full season, if last year's numbers are an indication, Jamar might be more of a, wide receiver 6, 7, 8 type of guy than, the top 3 receivers being drafted as.
All right. Well, thank you to Jacob Gibbs. Question from Dustin in the chat. Is Jacob Gibbs going to be on a full-length show? Yes, he is. That will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Until then, you'll hear him on the Sunday edition of Fantasy Football Today in 5, where we talk about Tee Higgins. We'll talk to you then.